Greetings. Welcome all. We're now going live. Welcome to Dorsey's Resource. The topic of this video, I'm still here. Open topic, impromptu discussion. So this is an unofficial topic. Just want to give you guys an update, let you all know that I'm still here. I want to thank you all that have continued to stay loyal, those who continue to stay subscribed to the channel. There's those that have shared my videos in the past. You're much appreciated. You guys know I don't go live as much lately. I've explained the reasons in the past. I won't always necessarily need to go over that. You can just check out the older previous videos if you are aware. But I just wanted to give you all an update. Let you all know that I'm still here. Those who are wondering, uh, I've been behind the scenes. By the way, I monitor the boards. I'm not on Facebook that much, but I do have my Dorsey's Resource pages, two separate pages on there. I'm also on Truth Social, by the way. I haven't been on Rumble in a long time, by the way. Believe it or not, I haven't logged in on there. I'm also on Minds.com. Haven't been on there in a while. And I haven't been on Twitter in a while. Only thing I've been on just a little bit at times here and there is Instagram and TikTok, just perusing, but not anything related to my digital creation or work as a content creator, micro influencer. None of that. Just still studying. Just want to give you all the update. Those who study in my discipline. By the way, I'm making progress. I haven't been on Telegram that much. That's another major, massive platform. By the way, kudos to all the groups out there that people that recognize my voice and know who I am. Thank you for the invites to those different groups. By the way, much appreciated. I love the work that you guys have done over there. The past couple years, the people that study sovereignty, I call it redemption education. Personally, is the name I refer to it as. Business law, consumer contracts, commerce, in the commercial world. Learning how to operate, changing, correcting one's status correction. By the way, it's many different terms, but kudos to the groups, those who do know me, who invited me over. Appreciate you. They know who they are if they ever check me out or happen to recognize my voice, because it's a bit private over there. Certain groups and things. A lot of. I gained a lot of knowledge. I would say the last couple years over there, even though I haven't been over there as much. I don't keep the notifications turned on my phone because I explained to a friend of mine and some other people, if I left the notifications turned on for all my social media and everything nowadays with all the passwords, usernames that we have, I would never get any rest. Literally, I have a private side. I have to decompress. I still do study from time to time, and you all remember I was also dealing with the back injury. I didn't give you guys a separate update about that, but this is like all in one why I decided to just do this impromptu video to give you guys an update. I'm fully healed up now. No more pain whatsoever. I was going through. It's funny how slowly just started to notice the pain just disappeared, even though I got a prescription refill got to pick up. I'm gonna pick it up anyway. Certain medicines I don't throw away. I'll probably put it in a refrigerator, try to, preserve it. What I got, but just as a precaution, I did go to a physical therapist for the first time not too long ago. So that was an interesting experience, by the way. So I appear to be, once again, I'm fully healed at this point. Did go through some other things behind the scenes that I won't share. That's neither here nor there in my personal life. By the way, those that know me personally or people in my inner circle, by the way, would know what those situations are pertaining to. But I just want to encourage you all to stay the course. continue to stay informed, stay abreast of information. There is things that are taking place behind the scenes, despite the previous videos that I've talked about, the warnings that we all gave you. Is still true. As far as the one world government, the new world order, you still have to stay vigilant because they have a plan in place, and you still need to continue to wake people up, inform them, and stay aware. Some of these agendas being pushed, not attacking, just to put it out there, but I had to explain to a friend of mine when he brought up the alphabet community. As I'm understanding, the globalists push social, what's called social engineering. You have to do this in your own time, your own research. Uh, gen, uh, Genetic engineering. If you've heard of eugenics, that's what that's tied in. The alphabet was some referred to as the LGBTIA, that stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, and asexual community. That's all been orchestrated, created, funded by billionaires and globalists, and it's an agenda behind that. Not attacking anyone in that particular lifestyle, but just putting it out there, just to let it be known. Those many different things they use as a distraction for divide and conquer. Nowadays, they've weaponized. We've seen weaponization of the legal system from both sides. That's not a coincidence. The way this, when you study the system in general, the way that it was set up, you go back to the banking system with the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the educational system, the pharmaceutical industry, and there's those that are working to try to reverse the corruption with the chemicals and fluoride and hydrofluoric acid, lithium, things that are put in the water supply, by the way. And there's those fighting to expose the truth. And then we've had for years those that continue to push propaganda to suppress the truth. What is the actual truth? They've done this as well with religion. I had a series I was working on, but I shared with a friend of mine who's highly advanced, well before his time, very, very well studied, much greater than myself. I give him his props with history. Two people that I know I rank kind of, two of my historian friends are top. Now I have to give my other one props as well, but two of my historian friends in particular, I tell them, even though they disagree on certain things, their information, I can tell, complements each other. And that's something else, because I plan on, I touched on it in a previous video already about church, and reason I brought up, because I feel like, in my personal opinion, that in order to heal from trauma or to get past generational curses and things, you need to understand your history. There's a saying, those that do not learn from their history are condemned to repeat their past. Uh, it's important. I had a history teacher went over a famous quote, something like that. Exactly. Those who do not learn from their history are condemned to repeat it. And some of these same practices and traditions, people don't understand that were going on during slavery times. That was a way for slaves to get away from the plantation when they were allowed to start attending what we call today as church. It wasn't called church back then. It was called Sunday go-to meeting. Sunday go-to meeting, when they asked the master. And the transatlantic slave trade was real, contrary to popular belief. There's these groups out here that are putting out disinformation, and I'm going to be working on debunking that. But like I told a friend of mine, I'm going to be gathering data, information to totally prove, validate, substantiate, go into the history, how they created, humanized the form of Jesus. The translation isn't even correct. The person that it was based upon, and the archetype, many don't understand. Our ancestors, ancient ancestors, the languages that they used, they spoke in parables, and they used archetypes in their examples. Look, people literally mean thinking. In some instances, there were actual people that lived that these archetypes are based off of. In some instances, they're not. They're allegories. By the way, they anthropomorphize different stories, and that's an actual term. They anthropomorphize different stories and things. God is also, if you look up uh, government ordinance division, well, you might not be able to find a lot of information on that, but look up research dogma, learn about dogma, what that is. Uh, Look up the Nicene Council of 325 AD. There was also other ecumenical councils, other forms of councils. I found out about the Council of Jambia, where some of this destructive theology and disinformation that's being put out here is coming from. A lot of people don't know, because to see the powers that be also had a plan. They used religion years ago as a form of control, by the way. And the slave trade was worldwide, not just here in the Americas, because there's those that have an agenda to push that don't want to teach the real history as far as what actually happened. There's a way with information, credible historians, plus with archaeological data aligned with very credible research and intelligent linguistics. You're able to actually, there's ways to prove what's actually fraud and what's not. But people have to be willing to do their homework and not just go by what their parents taught them or what their pastor or what their minister. You also have to take the time to learn how different languages, language barriers, and the translations, how the words, the change, the terminology, or what was being used by the civilization or the people that existed at the time period. What were the customs? You also have to debunk a lot of the lies. You have to have the time periods too. A lot of people, when they mention these stories, they don't give you the timelines, the time period. So I even question, because I myself challenged one of my historian friends, two of them, and they actually both agreed they're working on giving me time periods. I said one way to go back and see who's telling the actual truth behind all these different theologies between the Hebrew Israelites, the Moors, or the chematologists, and people in Judaism and all the different religions out here. You have to go back to, there's a source of origin where all these things derive from. Why don't use critical thinking? Just ask these questions, by the way. When was this book created? Or when was this organization created? Prior, or what books is this organization's doctrine based off of? What does the doctrine come from? It's a lot of things that are carrying on today derived that's creating generational curses and perpetuating generational curses. It's destructive theology, very destructive theology. And I illustrated to a friend of mine, yes, it's important to have a spiritual system. Look at religion as a spiritual discipline. There's nothing wrong with that, having a discipline. But the problem is that in the minds of certain people who have been oppressed by their oppressor, that have gone through colonialism, transatlantic slave trade, patriarchy, things of that sort. By the way, you have to question the theology. And when a conqueror comes into a civilization, and whether they take over the belief system, if they adopt it as their own, or they change it or add something, those types of questions you have to, you have to research and be willing to be honest about, instead of just going by somebody's word. When you go listen to an imam, a pastor, a reverend, or something like that, those are also titles, like titles of nobility and things. Just like people have different things were created as a pecking order or caste system, rank and file. But understand the origin, and when you understand where these things come from, you can start to heal. You can begin to heal properly when you know the actual truth. And that's what I deal with, is the actual truth, because there's a lot of disinfo out here. And I know what I'm saying might go above some people's heads, but it's not difficult. Doesn't take rocket science. People think that you have to be highly intelligent. You have to have a high IQ just to comprehend this information. No, you don't. You just have to do your research and learn and read. There's a saying, he who has ears, let him hear. He who has eyes, let him see. Just the basics. Over time, you're willing to do the research, you'll start to comprehend these things. So it's a lot to unpack with that. But I was working on some things dealing with the religious aspect separately. That would be down the road. I couldn't tell you guys anytime soon because I've taken a big break from doing YouTube videos or creating master classes or doing a series. I've also been censored by YouTube as well. This video was an impromptu. This really wasn't a general topic. That's why I put impromptu, open topic, something like that, open forum discussion. Wasn't a topic in general. Just wanted to give you guys an update as to where I've been, and maybe down the road what I may be planning, have in store. I kind of gave you all a sneak preview in some of my previous videos as far as the what I'm working on dealing with religion and questions that people have. But the level of information that I've got is very, very credible, highly credible, that is people that will live their whole lives and never be able to fully comprehend or understand these concepts, by the way. And they will be challenging, but I'm going to have very credible, powerful information. And to give you guys a sneak preview, for example, I'm going to be able to go into details about where these religions come from, where they derive from, what books they come. There's books or languages that are the precursor. Just like you have a grandparent or grandmother has to precede the child, the daughter or the great grandchild. There's certain books in the past that take precedence that were before Judaism, that were before the Torah, books that were before the Talmud, that predate those books. Yes, this is a fact. This is the actual truth. Books that predate the Talmud, the Torah. Why do people ask these questions? There's books that predate the Bible. Why don't people ask the question? The Bible's 66 books. It's a compilation of a number of books. Why don't people ask what the councils decided which books would go in, which books wouldn't? Why don't people talk about the so-called lost books of the Bible? But let's go back further than that. Why don't people ask the questions? Go back further in time. Go to the actual source. You'll get the answers, you see? Stop going by what people tell you and do your research. I'm not saying like I consult. It took me a while, years. And I've seen one of my friends years ago, the library they had, in reference to when you study languages, translations, archaeological data, you will get to the truth. Even this English language is only so many hundreds of years old. A lot of people don't understand it has a parent language. This language that we speak. Did you know there's an older form of this language called Broken English or Old English? Well, people ask those questions. Stop thinking you know it all. All these so-called theologians you listen to, but they never mention what I'm just mentioning to you. You listen to some of these pastors, preachers, imams online, and they don't talk about this type of stuff. Why doesn't your mind process these questions? But they are quick to tell you, swear up and down that their religion is the actual truth. But I go to the actual truth, and I'm going to get to the 100% truth, and we're going to go deep, take a deep dive down the road. Yes, that's what I have in store for you guys. So, but for the time being, get off the religious aspect and let you guys know with the financial system, things taking place, continue to stay the course. Like I said in the past, you want to be doing certain things. You want to be continuing to accumulate hard assets. If you've been doing that, you are aware of what's going to take place down the road. This even goes for myself with the changeover to the digital asset system, to the new system. The new system, they're going to get away from calling it cryptos, whether you like it or not. It's not my choice. I'm not in control of it, but this was shared with me privately. I have private sources out there. I also follow high-level contacts because there's different sources, if you understand 6 degrees of separation. And, I was told basically the banking system is it's not going to be the same. It's going to be phased out down the road. So as I told a relative, certain things you want to get prepared. You got to do the basic things because when that day comes, you're going to need to already be, in a certain position. It's going to help you. It won't hurt you if you were getting prepared in advance. If you were doing the right things and you were accumulating, continuing to accumulate assets. You weren't giving all your money away to the church or to the mosque or to the imam. But these people never poured back into you, but you were investing in yourself. So you could pass down generational wealth. So you could have something for your family, for your descendants. So your children would not have to be struggling like this. That's just the things that our ancestors or grandparents should have been taught. Financial literacy, doing the right things. So their children would already be set up for victory. So they wouldn't have to fight for victory. They could fight from victory. They would already be victorious because, their parents, great grandparents were already doing the proper things. But I know because that's not the case with many people, but it's not too late. It's still not too late, but we are running out of time before certain things are getting ready to take place. And I did some inventory today or yesterday, as we're into the next day, to look at if I was to liquidate some hard assets, how much I would have between that and then other types of digital assets. Just kind of play around every now and then when I look at the market and see what's going on there. Say, okay, this is what I would be working with. Let's say if I had to get rid of everything, if I had to just liquidate it immediately, but I don't touch it because I'm disciplined not to, only for maybe certain things when emergencies or things of that sort honestly legitimately take place. I'm that disciplined. But for the most part, you don't want to touch it until, when you are aware of what is getting ready to take place. You want to continue to stay the course, buy hard assets, the correct digital assets. You want to have at least a separate stash if you plan. Keep in mind the other types of digital assets. That's a retail speculative market. So keep in mind when they pull the plug, those could potentially go and not be around at one time. If the powers that shouldn't be at the very top behind the curtain, the evil ones decide they only want to allow a certain amount. Once that day comes, you'll be prepared on both sides. So you can say you not only had the chosen select assets, digital assets, you also had, but, it's your call. But this is, I'm kind of speaking a little bit cryptically, but this is what I'm told. The dollar down the road it's going to phase out eventually. It'll still be around, but it's going to come to a point where it is going to become obsolete, and it's going to weaken the purchasing power. And you retain your purchasing power by accumulating, and just like real estate's a form of a hard asset, but you want physical assets, and then you also have digital assets. And those I hear allegedly, when they time everything and allow things to go, they want everything to go at once because they don't want people double dipping. That those paper assets that people were curious about, that's when you may actually see those manifest. By the way, the paper assets. So you have hard assets, digital assets, and those paper assets. I don't really talk about too much anymore. The older videos, because I was skeptical about it, but I put it on the back burner because I said it was taking so long. So I said I didn't get all hyped, but I still believe that those things, in my opinion, will eventually take place. But when that day comes, you don't want to get caught suddenly where you didn't have anything at all. You were just, oh man, it's too late. Because when that day comes, you want to be in a position to be in something. And there's a saying I was taught many years ago when I started learning about these certain types of trust. It's a group that had a cliche of saying that one must put himself in position to take possession, to have power, then control. One must position himself. So how does that saying go? One must put himself in position to take possession before one can have power and control. You see? So that's the purpose of staying the course, getting prepared. By the way, why it's important, and you can go back, watch my older videos where I go in depth on this channel, this particular channel in particular. I did some other videos on my newer channel, by the way. I haven't gone live that much over there. That's, it is for what it is. But I have all the information. Many of you all that have been following me, you guys already know what has been going on. So I don't need to even go over that. Let me see here. More means mother means says share your referral link. Okay, what is this? Right here. Gotta read. See someone in the comment section. Okay. Okay, let me read this next comment. It says, new to streaming or looking to level up, check out. Well, this is for me. I was just reading something. But that's the update so far. I just wanted to let you guys know I'm still here. This was an impromptu update discussion that I'm just going over where we're at. Like I said, continue to stay the course. I do think we are getting closer, definitely. Many have been waiting for years for things to manifest. And we're almost at that point. But just keep in mind, they've actually done a favor for you. One of my sources told me when they actually kept the price of silver, they've been suppressing it, and it's even at $33. The last I checked, 33.08 and some change on coinflation.com. That's a steal right now. I remember years ago, people were complaining about $20 silver. It's supposed to be way higher than that. If you go to usdebtclock.org, as it was shown to me, and I think I went over this in a previous video. One of my sources told me a while ago, and I noticed some other people started putting it in their videos and talked about it. But I had one of my sources put me up on this and showed me, if you go to usdebtclock.org, it shows you what the actual price of silver is supposed to be at. And it's supposed to be way higher than where it is now. And gold. Even though gold is breaking records, gold is like, at last I checked today, was like around 3,300, 3,400 an ounce or something around there. It's been breaking records lately. Gold's been doing well. These are the things that are important, and do the best that you can. But this is very, 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 very important. Why I want to continue to kind of harp on this, kind of speaking in code sometimes, but I put it out there. I've done previous videos about the digital assets. By the way, what was given, that information hasn't changed. The only thing that may have changed, I didn't go as in depth with, is having a cold storage wallet. If you are involved in cryptos, I was informed that is important. You don't want to have your stuff on exchanges. You want to move them off, because I'm hearing that we could be facing a potential cyber attack or power outage. I just got word in some particular country or somewhere there was a power outage. So these are things that they could be planning. That could be any day. Just be mindful of. We got to be prepared for those type of things, because the evil ones are going to retaliate. I was informed. When there's a big up in the market, they're going to have a big crash all of a sudden too. But that's going to be a form of their retaliation. By the way, because you still have the ruling class that's connected to the Federal Reserve banking system, and that's separate. I'm hearing, allegedly, I was informed that members of this European elite are actually private board members, allegedly, of the Federal Reserve, members high up of the European elite that are connected to the upcoming Bilderberg meeting, the World Economic Forum, those higher up, certain people you don't hear behind the scenes, names you can look up, Jean-Claude Juncker, Klaus Schwab, I heard, recently stepped down. Former CEO of Nestle, I heard, allegedly took over, by the way. But I heard it was still big that Klaus Schwab stepped down. I heard that was significant. If you want the updates or the better understanding of why he stepped down, go to band.video to get better clarification. As I'm not actually an official sponsor, by the way, I don't have any referral links to band.video, but just sharing from my own research. He's partnered with other independent media, and the information over there is very informative and not a lot of the propaganda that you're going to get from the mainstream media. Don't believe all the lies that you've been told. As I told a neighbor, by the way, that said, "Oh, you listen to Alex Jones." I said, "Oh, you know who he is?" And I said, "Yeah, yes, I do." And he says, my neighbor says, "Well, I don't like what he said about the Sandy Hook kids or whatever." And I'm gonna say, I myself personally never paid attention that much to when that incident occurred. But I will say this: I never saw the mainstream media when they always accuse some of that. I never saw them show the evidence of proof of what he said. By the way, I saw that court hearing when that was all in the news and heard about the lawsuit and stuff. But I still bought his products. I still unapologetically supported him, just like I've supported people in the conscious community, other things. It doesn't mean that just because you listen to someone, you 100% co-sign or agree with everything they say or do. And that goes even for people in the conscious or black nationalist community. But I stay abreast. And I told my neighbor this: I think it's important that we keep our eyeglasses on and listen to everyone, because the evil ones, the powers that be at the top, you got to remember, they are a consistent enemy. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. But the evil ones at the top, they want to depopulate the world. They have an evil agenda to start a one world totalitarian government. They poison our food supply. Those are people that are very evil. So we get these distractions and propaganda. You got to watch out for that, because it's also used as divide and conquer too. Not saying certain groups are necessarily going to hold hands and sing kumbaya. I understand that. Different states, different places, is different demographics. That's why I said, it's not a perfect situation. Some places, prejudices, racism, that stuff does exist. You have platforms, and I watch those as well. I mean, it is for what it is, but I'm kind of, neutral on that aspect. Politically, I'm not a registered voter, even though I've given my opinions in the past and shared what I felt is my lesser of two evils, and feel like why everybody's forced, you don't get a lot of options. I feel like you're also forced to pick a side. And I feel like each side that competes against one another, they go to one extreme, or where it's like they act like you have to agree totally with what their agenda is. And I don't agree with that either. I think, there's things that I honestly don't like. Even though, I rock with Trump versus Biden, I like what Biden and Kamala did with the student loan forgiveness. I don't like that about what Trump did. So, but that's just showing honest critique. Well, you shouldn't live in a society where you're being bullied or being afraid to express your political opinions, but you got to scratch your head and ask the question: who's mainly bullying another side to not to shut up and not have an opinion? If you preach tolerance and love, but I think that applies equally to both sides. But just something to think about there. But yeah, I think you should use critical thinking. But to kind of get back to my neighbor, said he found out overheard me, because I guess my speaker plays loud out of my apartment. And I'm like, I unapologetically want to know what's going on. And he says, you listen to InfoWars. And I said, well, yes, I do. But I said, that stuff about Sandy Hook, in my opinion, I saw an undercover investigator interview an FBI agent. And I told my neighbor this. I saw this with my own eyes. I saw the FBI agent admit on camera. He may not have known he was being recorded, but I saw him admit on camera that they set Alex Jones up to go after his money. This is what I physically saw out of my own eyes. And because I'm a listener of Alex Jones, it's not that I've ever met the man personally. I'm not being paid by him. Just like I don't get paid. I've never been paid by Trump. I've never met Trump before. I don't work for the Republican Party. I don't work for the Democrats. I'm someone who analyzes information, uses critical thinking, and thinks for myself. You see, I have to break things down this way in this particular manner because we live in such a polarizing society where it seems like certain people are pushing agendas and trying to make everything political. But at the end of the day, I use common sense. They say very intelligent people have common sense because anything else is ludicrous. I'm actually the one that's intelligent. I'm not the so-called conspiracy theorist, which theory is something that's theoretical that hasn't been proven. I would say I'm a maybe conspiracy realist. You can conspire, but I talk about things, facts that are proven too. By the way, that doesn't always get talked about, but things that are theory or theoretical. Look up the history when that term, those two words were created back in the 60s. By the way, there's history about that. Notice when they're quick to call somebody a conspiracy theorist, and I had to check a coworker in the past that called me that, and I said, hold on there. You know, you got differences between you when you break those two words down. But this is sometimes how I can tell if somebody's an agent. But I let my neighbor clearly know, don't buy into the propaganda because I don't trust the mainstream media personally. I've talked to a lot of coworkers in the past, people I work with, I will never see again. And these were even white people, Caucasian people I work with. And a bunch of them told me personally, they didn't trust the government. And I don't trust the mainstream media. So this is why I say we just need to be paying attention to everything and not just taking what somebody says just because, you know, their belief system aligns with you or whatever. They gaslight you. Do your own research. But I just shared it with my neighbor. This is what I saw. Footage of this FBI agent may not have known he was being recorded. He was on camera. There was some investigative journalist. It wasn't Project Veritas. It was some other guy or whatever. I don't know the guy's name. And the FBI agent, I heard him clearly state on camera that they said they were going to go after Alex Jones's money. They were going to set him up. And I heard Alex Jones has got lawyers. He's been lawyered up and he's going to fight. He's going to come back and fight them. By the way, I think that's very evil what they did. And also got word or heard allegedly that former New York mayor, I told my neighbor this as well, Mayor Bloomberg is behind, has a lot to do with this as well, or trying to, with the Sandy Hook families, allegedly, I don't know exactly what happened, but it's trying to take him down. I heard he got mad that he didn't want people to find out that he was actually behind the bankruptcy case that's been going on down in Houston, somewhere Harris County or something like that, Texas. When I hear Alex Jones, but because I'm an actual listener, you got to know that I'm fair. I'm a fair person when I critique someone, and because I've been a listener for years, I know, that he's telling the truth because there's things that I can see, obviously. But if somebody hates or has something, I don't know what my neighbor has against Alex Jones, but he did say he didn't like what he said. I guess if he believes the propaganda, in my opinion, about the Sandy Hook thing, I'm not here to try to, persuade people. I'm just here to try to, relay from my personal opinion as a messenger what I saw, what I witnessed. I can't speak for everybody else, but I haven't seen the evidence that they were claiming through this whole lawsuit that they claim that Alex Jones said this with the Sandy Hook kids. And I let my neighbor know that when I saw this FBI agent on camera, that proved to me that this was a government operation and there was evil people from the deep state that were behind trying to take this man down, obviously, because they don't want the information that he's reporting on, he's sharing to the general public to get out there. So that's what I'm going to be paying attention to. And that's why I share with you guys banned out video And like I said, if you don't like him, he's also partnered with other media organizations who are allies with him, by the way. And just because you listen to someone does not mean that you necessarily co-sign everything that person talks about. I also let my neighbor know I don't agree with Alex Jones on reparations, but that's neither here nor there. But I believe in the mission that he's on and exposing the Illuminati, the globalists, the ruling class elite. I commend him for that, for having the confidence to expose and go after these people, because a lot of people don't have the skill set to do that. And I told a friend of mine recently that I looked up Alex Jones's birth sign once I found out from my friend not only his Western chart but his Eastern zodiac sign, and I said he was born with the ability, because he's a certain sign. I won't say what his sign was, but one of his sign, his Western chart, has the same. We have the same sign in the Western chart, but the Eastern chart I was sharing with a friend of mine. That's why he has the confidence, the tenacity to do what he's doing, because he has the universe on his side. And I learned that from a friend. The Eastern chart is powerful. If you're compatible with someone, I love the Eastern zodiac sign that goes by the animal signs. To me, it's highly accurate. And some people that say, oh, they don't believe in astrology, or that is real, or they say astrology wasn't, we're not supposed to be doing that because some people are biblical. But some say astrology was in the Bible. Some say, how did the God guide the three wise men to the North Star to find baby Jesus? Was that not a form of astrology? Or when God said there will be signs and wonders in the stars, in the heavens above? What is that not? The scripture may not be quoted exactly, but you know what I mean. Was that not astrology being used, or when he gave an example that if you don't praise me, that the rocks will cry out, to look at things out of sight, out of mind? Why were those examples given? To see, it's people that so-called go to church and so-called supposed to believe in the word and don't even understand these allegories and things, and what, metaphysics and stuff that's even in and limits their belief system. They don't even understand it, comprehend these concepts. Well, I'm just saying, just a little tidbit here and there, but that's why I personally, when I had the funding. If I had more money, I would support Band.video. I think it's critical. I think the work that he's done throughout the years has helped hold off, but stay vigilant, because the New World Order, the ruling class, the Illuminati, we need to expose these people. They're very evil, wicked people. They're into population reduction, eugenics, as I mentioned earlier. They're pushing the alphabet agenda. That's part of the social engineering, by the way. That's to weaken our society. And they're also, many of them are also Satanists as well. And it's about defiling the body, and doing things to go against human nature, because they hate nature themselves, by the way, if that makes sense. The basics of it, and you look up the history why Satanism was created, by the way, and it's deep, why they were granted the ability to get recognized as a religious organization. And I found out they do actual rituals. They claim that some claim that they don't do animal sacrifices, that they don't kidnap children, and they actually do. They cover that up, but they lie. And there's evidence behind that. By the way, if you kept up a research, they're very deceptive. They're very methodical, but there's actually Satanist evil forces and families, bloodlines that are into this stuff, and they need to be exposed. And they hateful, very hateful people that want to depopulate our society. They've done things to create companies to weaponize our food system, our food supply, our water supply, the pharmaceutical industry, etc. You have to do more research. There's evidence out there. There's a lot of people I see from time to time. I have shared with me, people who shared Instagram, TikTok videos of people exposing them, things that I didn't know about. Certain families were into. And that's evil to do those things. Why isn't enough people in the general public exposing that? There should be more people exposing that type of stuff. But it is for what it is. So I just want to do this video real quick. This was like an impromptu. Let you guys know I'm still here. I want to thank you all that continue to rock with the channel, that continue to stay subscribed to me. Appreciate you all. Until next time, may the force be with you. I'm out.